What is going on, guys? My name is Wyatt, in case you forgot, since it's been forever since I made a video for you. I've actually been gone the past week on a hunting trip, so that's why I have not been able to upload for you guys. And that's also why I look really butch right now and need a shave and to get a haircut. So anyways, with that out of the way, today I just got a quick video for you. We're going to be doing a little bit of work on the EK, or the Civic project. I know you guys hate when I call it an EK, but it's what we classify them here as, or at least that's what I've always classified them as, so that's what I call it. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get this Hummer here behind me pulled out. This is a job that I just finished up tonight since I got back just the other day. Put a transmission in this car and it's good to go down the road. So we're gonna get that pulled out, we're gonna pull the Civic in, and we're gonna get a little bit of work done on it. So I've gotten the car pulled in now, and I've gone ahead and pulled the headlights out. I actually pulled those out a couple days ago before I left on my hunting trip, and just kind of seeing what they would clean up like. So as you can see, this one is buffed out and this one is not. Everybody was saying get a clean set of headlights, but if I can make them look good again, why bother spending the money? So just quickly took some sandpaper to these things. I just went with a 400 grit and then a 600 and then an 800, and then just used a buffing wheel and some compound, and they turned out pretty good. They probably will haze over again. I've really never had a set that didn't haze over, but I don't really want to clear coat them either, as the clear coat will peel anyways. So it's kind of a 6 to 1, half a dozen another, but it'll get me by for now, and they definitely look a lot better like this. So I'm gonna get this one cleaned up and get them put back on the car and see what else we can do tonight. I might throw the door panel back in it, but other than that, until we get the motor pulled out, there's not a ton more I can do. So yeah, let's jump into getting these headlights cleaned up. Alright, so I got my headlight clamped in my jaw horse here. What we're going to start out by doing is using a 400 grit wet sand on this, just to get all the heavy pitting and oxidization off. And then we're going to go to a 600 grit sandpaper, and that will be wet sanded as well. And then I have a piece of 1000 and a piece of 1500 to finish it off. I might not bother with the 1500 or even the 1000, as I didn't on this other one, because these things do have some pretty deep scratching on them. So we'll see, depends how ambitious I am, but we're gonna get started on it. And like I said, remember to use water with this stuff, as it helps clean out the deposits in the sandpaper, and also just does a little bit better job of sanding. So let's jump into that. As you can see, the front end is all back together. I think it looks pretty dang good, all things considered. Even these headlights are turned out pretty decent for what they were. Now what's left to do really is get the car painted. I need to probably find a fender for it, as this one's kind of dicked up. I might try and straighten that, I'm not sure yet. But that's definitely not good to paint over, so that's something we need to address before we can get there. But otherwise, everything's lining up pretty good and looking really good too. So I'm really stoked about this car. I can't wait to get it put together. It's still going to be a little bit of time before I can start, pulling the motor out and putting the other one in it. The other motor, as you guys saw, is over here, and it is completely ready to go. So all we got to do is slap that thing in there, and we will be chooching down the road. So that's all the further I'm going to get on the project shipbox tonight. Unfortunately, I did want to get a bit further, but I'm just running out of time, working really slow today. This is the day before Thanksgiving, so really don't have motivation to do anything. But yeah, in the next couple weeks, I hope to get some mad progress done on this thing as far as getting the old motor out, getting that new motor put in, and getting the turbo kit finally fabbed up on this new set, or for the new setup. So really looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are too. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video right now, and since I don't have much footage of the car, but I know you guys want an update, I will put this in a video, and after this I'm going to be showing you guys around the go-kart that I've been teasing you with for a couple times now. So yeah, that'll be next, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, so I got a few things moved out of the way so that we can get a better look at this go-kart, kind of track kart, whatever you want to call it. So a little bit of backstory on this thing is that the frame, which I will post a picture of now, we actually picked up for like 50 bucks. A dude was getting ready to just take it to the scrapyard. So my old man thought it would be a cool idea to buy it and maybe try and build something out of it. So we picked it up and got to doing some research on it, and he thinks that it is an old Formula 500 go-kart that would have been raced way back in the day. And yeah, it kind of started from there. So we have this frame that we didn't really know what we were going to do with, but we knew that we could fit, you know, probably a 2-cylinder in it or something of that nature, and it would be pretty cool just to go have some fun with it. So really, we built it with no intent of what kind of racing it would do or anything like that. And as we got going more and more, we figured we'd just use it for, you know, go-kart tracks. We have a couple of local tracks that this would be great to go drive on, and, you know, maybe do a Pikes Peak hill climb or something in it eventually one day. But other than that, that's really all we knew about the car. We had this bare frame, didn't really know what we were going to do with it, and this is what we have now. It kind of started from that, and here we are. So since we didn't know what kind of racing we were going to be doing with it, we didn't really build it to fit any kind of a class, as they don't really run these carts anymore. You know, they're really big into the shifter carts now and sprint cars and stuff like that. This is one of those classes that kind of just fell off because they weren't extremely popular. At least here where we are. I don't know about elsewhere. But anyways, with not having anything in mind and having to fit into a class, we ended up settling on a Kawasaki Invader 440cc 2-stroke motor. A lot of you guys were guessing that it was a Banshee motor. It's not. There was actually one guy that did guess it was a Kawasaki 440, so props to him. So yeah, the motor didn't run when we bought it. A funny story is we actually picked this motor up and we had it sitting on a trash can on a piece of wood, and it's about 11 o'clock at night. We had some tiny little tubes that came off it and went straight up, so it was just straight piped, and it had no carburetors on it. And we were sitting here, and we had the starter on it, and we were taking a syringe, filling it with 2-stroke, and squirting it into the cylinder and making it run just from a syringe, because 2-strokes don't really need anything fancy to run. And I just thought that was hilarious how we had it sitting there running. I'll put up some pictures now of when we actually got the full rebuild done and what's all in the rebuild, and also us running it again on the trash can bolted down to a piece of wood. But this time we actually had a garden hose ran to it for cooling, and had a little gas tank set up with a water gauge and everything. It was pretty legit. But yeah, so up on the screen now you'll see some photos of rebuilding the motor. The first block that we had in it actually stripped out a head stud, so we ordered another block. Turns out the Kawasaki Invader had 2 different style blocks. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but one of them has an extra groove in one of the journal bearings where ours didn't, to keep the crank centered or something. It's been so long now I don't really remember. But we ended up having to buy another block, and that one turned out to be good. So we ended up putting it together with a third block and new Wiseco pistons, new bearings, new seals. We ported and polished the cylinders a little bit, polished the heads. And yeah, so that's pretty much all that's done to it. It is bored out, I believe 30 over, and you know, like I said, the porting and polishing, but that is about it. And from the research that I can do, these things supposedly made about 70 horsepower from factory back in the day. So with the porting and the extra bore, and I hope these two-stroke pipes that are on it actually help, I figure this thing will be about 75 or 80 horsepower, which would be plenty enough for this cart. It's going to be absolutely insane. And here's the pictures of it on the trash can when we had water running to it, and we were sitting there running it, getting it up to temp. I mean, it was just a blast seeing the thing run while it was just sitting on a piece of plywood. So yeah, as you guys can see, the fiberglass is kind of rough. In the first picture I showed you of the cart when we first got the frame, it did have a lot of these fiberglass panels on it, but these parts are new. What we're using these for is to channel air back into the radiators. There's one on both sides. So yeah, we have those done. We also made a full belly pan for the car, a complete fiberglass one. As you guys can see, it's right here. The entire bottom of this has that fiberglass pan. I will post a picture of that right now. All the fiberglass me and my old man did by ourselves, so that was really cool. And as far as the gas tank back here, it's an aluminum gas tank that me and my old man built and just used a little fuel fill from Summit Racing, I believe, and it works really well. Doesn't leak, nothing like that. Another couple cool quirks on this thing is it actually has an electronic fuel pump down there. You can't see it from here because it's too dark, but there is an electronic fuel pump down there to feed the carburetors. And it also has 2 electric fans, one on each radiator, to keep those cool as well. As far as how this thing drives the wheels, on that side over there, you cannot see it right now, but it actually has kind of a CVT or constant variable tension clutch or whatever. It's just a snowmobile clutch is what it is. So what happens is, I'll show in a video now, when that clutch on the motor comes together, the one on the jack shaft spreads apart. In turn, it changes the gear ratios because it is making pretty much a larger and smaller gear on the motor side and on the jack shaft side. So now that you saw how that works, back on this side we go to, or from the jack shaft, it comes over and it goes to a chain drive. The chain drive in turn spins this huge sprocket and turns a live axle. That chain is tensioned by a serpentine tensioner off of a car with just a nylon wheel that you would find, you know, on like some aftermarket chain tensioners for dirt bikes or whatever. And yeah, it works really well, keeps the chain nice and tight. Haven't had any issues with it falling off yet. So I'm going to pull these body panels off it real quick, and then we'll take an even deeper look into this thing. So I got the nose cone and side pod pulled off. So as you guys can see, here's those fans I was talking about. These are just little 12-volt fans. They actually move quite a bit of air, and I'm really just using those to push air through these radiators when it's sitting so that it can cool down the motor, or if it got too hot, you can leave them on and keep cooling it down. So yeah, another thing you can see from this side is the jack shaft. This is the chain drive that goes to the live axle, and if you pull this seat forward, you can get a little bit better look at that clutch and how that all works. So that is the clutch that expands and contracts and in turn changes gear ratios. Comes across here and to the chain drive. As far as the exhaust that is on these exhaust pipes are off a RD400, I believe. It's an old school 2-stroke pit bike or dirt bike, 2-cylinder. I think they're motorcycles. I don't remember. Anyways, found them in a junkyard, like brand new, and just had to cut and, you know, redo these little inlets here that come from the head. And yeah, they work really well. Another little thing is this tank over here. It is just to house the oil, as this thing has a separate oil pump on it so that you don't have to mix the oil and fuel. And yeah, so that just houses the oil, and it goes down to the little injection pump, which is on the side of the motor, and that in turn squirts oil into the motor where it needs to be. So coming up here to the cockpit area, if you would, we have a Simpson 5-point harness in it and a uncompleted chair. This chair just Zeus clips back like the other parts do, and that keeps it from going anywhere. And yeah, it's pretty simple. Just need to put some foam on this or build a seat for it and go from there. On the left side over here, we have a rear brake bias valve. So this will in turn allow you to adjust how much pressure the rear brake is applying. And, you know, if you want to do some mad burnouts, you could pretty much just turn the rear brake off and you'd only be locking up the front tires, and you could sit there and just roast the heck out of them, which is pretty neat. Right here, we have a generic quick disconnect wheel. Just like that, comes off. Pretty straightforward, nothing fancy about it. And then we have our control panel. So we have a water temperature gauge right here. We have the start button, a kill switch, so when that's up, it runs. When it's down, it's off. We have a master power switch, a fuel pump switch, and the fan switch. So yeah, pretty neat how that turned out, and pretty simple. Moving up front a little bit further, you can see the gas and brake pedals here. That's the gas, that's the brake, and as you can see, the steering linkage to steer the wheels. Now this is not complete. We're actually gonna, do a couple things here. This is just for mock-up and to drive it around, get everything working correctly. Up in the nose of the car, we have a Willwood, I believe, or maybe a knockoff dual brake cylinder, master cylinder, the battery, and all the linkages for the throttle cable. This is actually pretty neat, and we built all this stuff in-house. So as you can see, the gas pedal pushes this rod forward and is right here, pushes it forward, and in turn pulls the throttle cable that goes back to the wheels, or back to the carburetors. So that's pretty neat. All right, working our way out to the front brakes, we have a Toyota Celica brake disc, or brake rotor, yeah. What these were is the double wide with the venting in the middle of them, like any stock one would be. But we ended up putting these on a lathe and cutting them down so that it was only one brake disc and it would fit inside of these calipers. The calipers that we are using are off of a 2006 Ninja 1000cc motorcycle, and just made them work with what we had. Working out from there, we have some Aero wheels. These are 4x4 or 4-on-4 wheels, I believe. I don't remember exactly. And some ARP wheel studs that hold that all together. So pretty neat. The tires are a Hankook 225/45/13. They're a Ventus, and we haven't used any of it yet. We haven't tried them, as we usually drive it on these little tiny tires so that we don't tear up these nice road racing tires. And we haven't really had it out to the track yet, so haven't been able to use these. I'm really looking forward to it though, but it's a lot of fun on them little ones. You can get this thing super sideways. So yeah, that's about it. I'm going to put it back together, and that'll probably be the end of me showing you, where it's at right now. But I'll probably put a lot of photos in this video and go over, a bunch of other stuff and show you the entire build up to now, which I think is really interesting, and I hope you guys enjoy it. now that you guys have seen around the go-kart project, a couple updates or plans for it are to finish the fiberglass work, which you can see down there on the floor, finishing up those panels, getting those ready. Need to get that done and paint it, and then we just got to dial on a few things, and this kart is going to be ready to go. So I hope you guys want to see more footage on this. Let me know down in the comments if you do or don't. This thing should be an absolute blast when it's done. You know, it's been a long time working on it, and I'd love to get it done this winter so that we can go enjoy it next summer. I have also talked to Brent and Jamie over at PFI Speed, and they said I'm more than welcome to come put this thing on the dyno whenever. So we're going to try and do that in the next couple months maybe, and see what kind of power it makes. I think this thing would be awesome if it could make, 80 horsepower or so. That'd be plenty for this thing. As on the little steel tires, I don't think I have any video of it, but on the little skinnies, this thing will get sideways, and it's pretty insane. And that's with it running like crap, mind you. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. And like I said, if you guys want to see more of it, let me know. So that is it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to give it a comment, a like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon to join the notification squad. So with that being said, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.